Welcome to Finding Certainty with your host and U.S. Army veteran, Patrick Lang. Over the next hour, you'll learn from Patrick and his expert guests how to attract more certainty into your business and your life. Now, here is your host, Patrick Lang.
Welcome back, everybody. You're with Finding Certainty here on Voice America Business, and I'm very honored to have our special guest today, Dr. Mary Lee. Thanks for being here, Dr. Lee. I really appreciate you making the time to spend your morning with us.
I'm happy to be here. Thank you so much.
It's definitely our pleasure. So before anything, happy Veterans Day. Any of you veterans out there? You've heard before, if you've listened to my show, that I'm a U.S. Army veteran myself, and we're a veteran-owned company here at Certainty Management, our consulting firm in Henderson, Nevada. So if you are a veteran, if you know a veteran, all of us have been blessed by veterans. I hope you'll reach out and say thanks for your service to those that are in your circle of network or your circle of influence. So Dr. Lee, you're with us from Farmington Hills, Michigan, right outside of Detroit. That's correct?
Yes, I am.
Well, I always like to start our show and share a couple of reasons why I've invited this specific guest with us. I don't go into a large bio, but just so you all know, Dr. Lee she's an entrepreneur. She's a businesswoman. She's raised millions of dollars throughout her lifetime, writing grants and raising funding for various programs. We're going to be talking about a couple of those today. She's a community leader that has been significantly involved in her community and helping improve things across the country in a number of different ways. Was very involved in President Barack Obama's campaign, actually worked in both of his campaigns. And she's over the last, I won't say how many years, but Dr. Lee has been an influencer in many ways. And we're going to be talking today about some of the ways she's making a difference today. It's very interesting. Dr. Lee and I met when we were both at the CEO Summit at back in Lynchburg, Virginia, at Liberty University last month. And we got to be friends. And when I heard about what she's working on and what she's done in her life and what she's doing, I was really impressed. So two main reasons she's on Finding Certainty Day. First and foremost is her story is fascinating of how she got to where she is today and what she's accomplished in her life. But the second part is that she is making a difference in ways that most people can't even imagine. She's not just resting on her laurels or enjoying her retirement or just letting moss grow under her. She is actively working to affect change in communities, especially lower income communities across America. So Dr. Lee, do you mind just telling us a little bit about your backstory? Where did you grow up? Tell us a little bit about your family. I know you said your mom was the matriarch in the family, very much a force to be reckoned with. I know your father, though, you learned lessons from both of them. So do you mind just telling us a little bit about your backstory, and then we're going to get into what you're doing today?
Yes, I will. Thank you. Thank you so much. No problem. And again, happy Veterans Day to all of you out there. And we certainly had a number of veterans in our own family, whom I honor today. So thank you for serving. Thank you. Well, I was born in Benton Harbor, Michigan, just a little, town in the state of Michigan. During a time when it was, I would say the population was probably about maybe less than 10% African American, less than 10%. And today it's probably 100%, almost. I'd say it's just completely changed. when I graduated, by the time I graduated from high school, I would say the percentages were still probably about the same, just a little bit more. My high school graduate class was more than 600, almost 700. Today, the graduating class is under 100 or around 100, to let you see and understand the difference. I bring this up simply because it had such a my schooling in this city of Benton Harbor had in my graduation final years had a huge impact on where and how I got to where I am today, which is why I bring that up. To my parents, my mom was the disciplinarian of the family, very strong woman. She worked about 10 years of her life because my dad wanted her primarily, he wanted to be the provider. He wanted to do everything that he felt a man should do, and he did. My dad was he never learned to read or write, very, very well, because by the time he was 6 years old, he had to go and plow mules, as what he would share with us. He had to plow mules on the farm. He lost his mom at birth and a twin brother at birth. So that had a huge impact on where he ended up in life. He lost his dad by the time he was 4 years old. And so he was kind of going around and here and there where whomever would take him in, whether it be a family member or someone else, until ultimately he really lost total contact with his biological family. So to this day, we don't understand and know all of our roots because of that loss. And so, but he instilled in us the value of education. I can tell you that where I'm at today, in education, to the level of doctorate level, there's no way. My dad was the strongest influence, because that is what he urged us to do. That was so valuable to him because he never received it. So I attribute that, but both of my parents were very encouraging. We were humble. My dad, public assistance, no, he would work 3 or 4 jobs before he would do that. Come from a family of 10. Today we have 7 left in our family of siblings. Parents are gone, but I do attribute them to where I am today. Very strong Black family. The way that we live in the city of Benton Harbor and in the city of Detroit, I thought we were I thought we were quite well off, because there were never ever any type of indication that we were lacking anything. We received love. We had what we needed, and very proud, happy family.
Right.
Yes.
My wife grew up on a farm, spent much of her time in Idaho and Central Oregon. She's the oldest of 10 children. And I think when you have a large family like that, there's so many great things that come out of it. There's the camaraderie and the familial support, but also with your father working in agriculture, working on the farms in the southern states. I can't imagine that he didn't instill in you a work ethic that maybe you wouldn't have gotten any other way. I mean, he maybe didn't have the education. He believed in education, but I'm sure he was, obviously was a hard worker. And isn't that interesting how we grow up, and all the time as kids, we don't even know that we're poor. If we have, we have love, we have, it's like, we by comparison, we don't really realize it until we get a little bit older. We may know that we don't have the name brand clothes or shoes or something when we're going to school, but isn't it so true that when you have love, you have an example, you have support, you have your basic needs taken care of, many times that's really all we need to grow up well-rounded and contributing members of society, which you obviously have done. I'm sure your siblings have as well. So
Yes.
I read somewhere about your mother where she did go to school, she graduated, but wasn't able to graduate because of the Jim Crow laws at the time. Is that right?
That is correct. Yes, my mom did go through her 12 years of schooling, all 12 years, 12th grade completed, but never graduated. She never received a diploma, from the school. She never understood why though. As a kid
Yeah.
growing up, I mean, she was an adult before she really knew, that it was because of Jim Crow laws. And she wasn't, and this was in the state of Mississippi.
Wow. I give my mom a hard time, and it's kind of our family joke because she's a high school dropout with a master's degree. She
Yes.
got tired of she just got tired of high school, and so she left a year early and just went to college. And back then it's a little easier to get in, I guess, but now she has a master's degree. She was an honors English professor. She's highly accomplished CEO of a company that they franchised all over the world, or all over the country. But it's kind of a inside joke. And she dropped out of high school, but has a master's degree.
Yes. My situation, the first 3 years, up to, let's see, kindergarten, first, second, that was in Benton Harbor. And then we moved to Detroit, where, I felt always, there's a teacher, Mr. Richards, in the 3rd grade. Mr. Richards was we call that auditorium class teacher, drama and journalism, in 3rd grade. He was my best teacher, I always say. So I did go to Cass Tech High, but then we went back to Benton Harbor before I graduated. And so I was graduating out of Benton Harbor High School, which is the story I started to tell. And I was always an honor student, always. Unfortunately, however, in this community of very few Blacks, my counselor, and her name was Alice Heckathorn, for more than a year, maybe year, almost like a year and a half, I would trump in and out of her counselors, out of the counseling center, seeking and asking and trying to find out where I was going to college, how to go to college. Coming from a family of being the first high school graduate, where do I go to college? How do I go to college? We didn't know, because our family was not at that educational, that level, didn't know. We just didn't know. But she never told me. She never told me. I was, as I say, I was an honor student. I did shorthand between 140, 150 words a minute, to type 100 and over to almost 120 words a minute, unbelievably. And with 100% transcription, rate, transcribed at accuracy. And so I landed not in college, but I landed at Whirlpool Corporation. This is where my school, they felt that, oh, well, push me on into corporate America with my skills. And then I could, and as the first executive Black secretary at Whirlpool Corporation. That's not what I wanted. I wanted to go to college. And so, and how I did eventually go to college, ran into my African-American, my history teacher. His name was Mr. Arnold Smith. And Mr. Arnold Smith, he's like, what school are you going to? I'm not in school. I'm not in college. Why are you not in college? I don't know why. I don't know why I'm not in college. No one ever, I didn't know whether you went from high school to college the same as you would be transferred to your local from elementary to junior high, etc. So I didn't know what to expect. No one told me. And after I say a year, of back and forth in my seeking that information, and Mr. Smith, tears just welled up in his eyes. And he was a white teacher. Most of our teachers were white. I think maybe all of mine were. And so he gave me his phone number and his address and say, come to see me and I will help you to go to college.
Wow.
He's the reason why I was able to go to college.
That's great. Isn't that just an eternal principle that so often we don't do what we could do because we don't know where to start? And what we really need is a mentor. We need someone to just who's been down that path, who has the experience, has the connections to just help us get pointed in the right direction sometimes, right?
Exactly.
Let alone opening a door or making an introduction or so forth. And I think it's one of the things I love about you, Dr. Lee. And from the moment we met, I mean, literally in the first few minutes of speaking, I thought, this woman is a mentor extraordinaire. You've mentored so many kids and so many nonprofits, and just, it was really impressive to me. And so I'm not surprised you had a great mentor like that helped you get on the right path. And now you're continuing and paying it forward in your own life. And that was just one of the things that really drew you to me and made me want to have you on the show, because you're such a great example of that. So we're coming up on our first break, but do you mind explaining what all the initials behind your name are? I know there's you've got
let's say Bachelor's of Science,
CD, MD. What do they all stand for? Just
okay, Bachelor's of Science, I think, is on there. Master's in Divinity, Educational Specialist, PhD, and that was in Education, Administration, and Leadership.
And what does the CD stand for? What is that one?
That one is CD is candidate.
Okay.
CD is candidate. Yes.
I wasn't sure on that one.
Yes.
I know you worked very hard to get your PhD and your master's, and you're a pastor. You're an ordained pastor as well.
Yeah. Yes, I am. And so that is with the Pentecostal Assemblies of the World.
Fantastic. Well, we're up against our first break. I'm enjoying our conversation, getting to know you a little bit better. I do think your story of a strong mother and a father who taught you such great principles and mentors like your teacher who helps you get to college and get on that path. I think just a great example, as I said, is something you're definitely paying forward. So when we come back from our break, everyone, we're going to talk a little bit about the program and programs that Dr. Lee is involved in today. I think they're really important. I wanted to help her get the message out. We're visiting with Dr. Mary Lee, who is the founder and president of the Neighborhood Commerce Institute. And really the story of NCI is really her life story in a very real sense. So we'll be right back. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. Thanks again for being here, Dr. Lee.
Thank you.
And hold tight.
Thank you.
All right, great. We're all clear. Back in about 2.
Thank you, Matt. So we're still recording, Dr. Lee. When I put out the video, everybody gets the behind the scenes chit chat between the commercials.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for informing me.
When it's all done, the live recording goes out with the ads in it and the intro and the outro and everything. And it's broadcast live right now.
Okay.
And they'll broadcast it throughout the day so other listeners from other parts of the world can hear, because they have millions of listeners all over the world.
Great.
And then it's also uploaded to all of the podcast channels like Spotify and iHeartRadio and Apple, Google, et cetera, et cetera. So
Great.
I'm really impressed with Voice America and how good a job they do of getting messages out. So when we come back, let's just get into, and I was thinking we should talk about NCI first and tell a
Okay.
little bit of that history, and then lead into the iGames and so forth. We can talk
Okay.
about your nonprofit as well.
Okay. Okay. So that's fine. Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Great. Great. Yeah. So I'm going to need to silence my phone here. I typically do that in the beginning, and I was so a number of things were going on, and so I didn't at that time, but I am doing it now, so that we make sure that we don't have any interruptions. So,
Yeah.
with any ringers. Yeah, I'm enjoying the show.
All right, I'm sorry to interrupt, but we're coming back in 10.
All right. Thanks, man.
Okay.
You're listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Lang. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome back, everybody. We're visiting with Dr. Mary Lee from the Detroit, Michigan area about her backstory leading to being a really influential community leader, entrepreneur, nonprofit owner, and more. Now, we were talking before the break, Dr. Lee, about your time at Whirlpool, and I know you went on to spend several years involved in government with the city of San Jose. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You were sharing with me just how involved you were with not only at Whirlpool Corporation initially, but then later in chambers of commerce, in congressional meetings. I mean, you were there when the zip codes were created, right? When gentrification started being planned. I mean, when
Yes.
plans to start doing business with China were planned, and so forth and so on. I mean, you've seen a lot of things happen in the last several years. I mean, I know you were integrally involved in the strategic planning, the business plans, the organized collaborations with chambers of commerce. I mean, the list goes on and on. Do you mind just talking about that for a minute? I know you worked at several levels of government, and the things that you learned and the insights you gained, I think, really helped frame who you are today.
Absolutely. Yes. Thank you. You're right. My skill sets, the shorthand, the typing, the transcription accuracy, always landed me in the boardrooms of corporations, and the boardrooms and the presidential suites, where all of the planning takes place. First off, very young, very, very young, because I didn't, as I shared with you, I went straight to corporate America, and recording the minutes of the plans, the various different planning for the communities. And many people don't understand or know that chambers of commerce is where the corporate leaders, where the presidents and the boards all come together to plan economically for the communities, not just for their local communities, but also, the cities, the counties, the states, nationally.
Right.
This planning takes place within the Chambers of Commerce's, which is a membership organization, and that comes together with all of the business people. So yes, I was there when the first initiatives for designing and developing zip codes, because years ago there were codes or state codes or area codes that you'd put on mail only like a one number. It was only like a one number. And so then the zip codes is where the red lining started. Okay. The red lining, because they wanted to develop a system to mark and it be known nationwide by the corporate leaderships, corporations or businesses. So we'll know, which neighborhoods and who lived in those neighborhoods, by the number, the zip codes. So it was the beginning of redlining. Okay.
Right.
And the zip codes, and people don't know that. I was there doing minutes and organizing paperwork when the planning was taking place to move jobs, our jobs here into China, literally in order to lower the cost for labor, and so as many jobs or assembly and the work that is going on in China right now today and shipped back here, manufacturing. I was in the boardrooms and in those corporate meetings while that was going on. I was responsible not only for the minutes. They discovered that I was very good at strategic planning, that I was very good at, writing and pulling, actually organizing the collaborations. I could do it on paper. I could listen to what they wanted and be able to actually write a business plan, develop a business plan. I wrote the first business plan for what probably led to Uber today, which was the dollar ride. One of the board members from the city, wanted to create a dollar ride where someone could just call a phone number, and get a ride to the door. Right. That was back in the late 60s. Wow. Okay. And I wrote that business plan and it was $25,000 for a pastor, Mr. Wilbur Brown. To this day, that development has been attributed to him in the state of Michigan under the Wilbur Brown Department of Transportation. I wrote that business plan. And that's so this all was discovered. And so throughout the years, my skills developed, my knowledge, my understanding of economic development could only grow.
Right.
And so I was able to, now I'm going to talk about the city of San Jose. There, I was assistant to the chief city attorney. Okay. There were 45 attorneys in the department. There were more than 30 paralegals. Everything had to cross my desk. Absolutely right. Everything, every bit, your planning, the city building, all of that had to cross my desk. And so what do I acquire? I acquire the ability literally to run a city, a huge city, financially, economically, in development. I understood the bonding, your new market tax credits, what any developer or anyone who wants to build any type of entrepreneurship would need to know.
Right.
Okay. And
you learned all about bonding, you learned about fundraising. I mean, how did you get into then writing grants and raising the millions and millions of dollars that I know you have? Because that leads us to your project that you're now involved in that is so interesting. We want to get to that
Okay.
as our
I
time
learned
is
right there on the
progressing
job
here.
just by doing it, just by doing it. I guess it comes naturally. I had never written a business plan before I wrote the Wilbur Brown business plan for the Dollar Ride. And I just say it's a gift,
Yeah.
gift from God. I ask God, how do I do this? And and it comes to me from the Almighty, from our Creator.
Isn't that how it usually goes? We draw from our upbringing and our personal experience. We're
Mhm.
surrounded by mentors and others who are better at what they do than we are, and we learn from them. I mean, they
Mhm.
say you're the sum total of the 5 people you spend the most time with, they say. But then in the middle of it all, we receive inspiration, personal revelation, insight, and I call divine choreography takes place, and
Mhm.
all the pieces start coming together. And it definitely has obviously happened in your life. But
Yes.
that really brings us to your project now, where you started the Neighborhood Commerce Institute about 20 years ago. And why don't you take just a minute or two and tell us about NCI? And then let's get into, before we run out of time here, we would definitely want to get into the iGames project that you're involved with, because you're the first woman of your age I've ever talked to that was involved in esports. And that really caught my attention. So let's talk about that. But tell us a little bit
Okay.
about NCI
Okay.
first, and then let's get into
Okay.
the iGames story.
Okay. So Neighborhood Commerce Institute I created, yes, about 20 years ago as my mechanism to reach the Black community with the Black community, low income, the underserved entrepreneurs, uh, you know, uh, for economic development, to bring the skills and abilities, the development, the collaborations to show, other communities, the communities that have been underserved and gentrified, what and how to reach their own dreams, to bring economic and build, within their own communities. And so that was the purpose of NCI. For the past 20 years, I haven't been, even though we've been developing in the Black community and in the underserved communities, still most of the work, most of the the development has been outside of the community. Okay, everything is done on a consulting basis. However, I've still been able to impact by providing services to corporate America, to the foundations, to those that are sound and financially established, and to be able to meet their own dreams, their own ways of giving back, to the communities. And so that's where that has been. Out of that, it has brought me to the iGames faith-based funding league.
Right. If I may, I like how you refer to NCI as a liaison organization between families, entrepreneurs, small businesses, and investors, organizations,
Yes.
others that can provide support, so that you said, and I've heard it referred to as a grassroots economic development support system. It's like an incubator, right, for businesses
Yes.
nationwide, even worldwide. I know you're
Yes.
involved with Ward Holdings and their projects of bringing opportunity to Africa and bringing
Yes.
importing cashews and food and other things. You're involved with Lloyd Ward and their project. And so it's not just a national focus, you're actually making a difference overseas as well.
Yes.
So this background of being this liaison and using all your experience of learning how to run a city and learning how to do business plans and so forth, it's really morphed into this latest project which is the iGames Faith-Based Funding League. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I know it's getting a lot of support. It's supported by the Funding League, by EACL, the esports, as I was saying. You don't usually talk to someone who's in their 50s, 60s or above who is involved in gaming and in esports. So, I thought, wow, this lady's amazing. This lady's incredible. She's talking about gaming and sports and these kids and this coalition. You've got your own nonprofit, the honoring the dead homies. It's called Our Dead Homie Dreams of Our Dead Homies Coalition, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And that is your nonprofit. It's even an additional organization that's focused on reducing and eliminating the violence in the Black neighborhoods. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
And
Yes.
really established in honor of your own, was it your nephew or nephews?
Yes. Yes. That they're definitely a part of it. Yes.
So just to help us understand, you have NCI, which is this liaison organization creating opportunity within the communities. You have the
Mm-hmm.
Honoring the Dead Homies Coalition. I love the name.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your nonprofit designed to reduce the violence in the neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've now partnered with iGames as a way to help create funding in a really unique and fun way that can help create this opportunity, can help it was kind of the missing piece, right? Because obviously the more funding you have, the more good you can do. The number one need most nonprofits have is more funding. That's why we help raise funding with our company, Certainty Management. But tell us how iGames works. And
Okay.
we're coming up on another break here, but let's talk a little bit about that, and then we're going to talk about what you're looking for. I know you need volunteers out there, and there's a huge opportunity for them, for those who want to take part.
So neighborhood commerce is of course, I want to get this in here really quick. Neighborhood commerce is here, as you say, a liaison between, say, you go to these conference meetings and you kind of get lost, right? After the meeting, where do you go? So when we're present there, you can always come to us afterwards, and because we're keeping track of the providers, the vendors who are there, all the promises that are made by our presenters, and those of us who go to connect. Okay, so we're the connection. And we have done international, to all over the world with Advanced Native Missions. Okay, Advanced Native Missions. I consider that my flagship international project, because we worked and were able to get funding and set up this system, for all over the world, not just Africa, but all countries. That's phenomenal. Anyone look up Advanced Native Missions, and you'll see the work that is on the ground, outside of the US. Okay, now to the Funding League. When you think of the Funding League, I always say it is a system, a platform similar to your Girl Scout cookies. Okay, your Girl Scouts, they have cookies as their fundraiser. The Funding League has a gift card for gaming, and has created a family-friendly gaming, and provides a gift card subscription as their, you could say, Girl Scout cookie, or to replace your pies, your cakes, and all of that as a fundraiser is phenomenal. It was created, the Funding League was created by a former NFL football player and his daughter. His daughter is a prodigy, just a genius in quantitative finance. She actually designed the financial plan, and the plan provides for the gaming subscription that provides for funding to funnel back into the Black community, as grants. So all the monies that come through and from the selling of the Girl Scout cookie or the gift card subscription is coming back. The company gives back 50%, literally probably more, but it comes back 50% to the grassroots nonprofit organizations and entrepreneurs within the Black community. It's been set up to revive economically the Black community, the underserved, but it's for it's for all, it's international. So no, I wasn't into gaming online except for with my children, my grandchildren. That was the extent of what I know about gaming. However, today I do own a league. It's the iGames faith-based funding league, and the monies that we get from there, then we will take that money and provide grants to again, nonprofits and Dreams of Our Dead Homies and program coalition. And that
Right.
coalition is to address the killing of young Black men to young Black men. We want to provide, so many dreams and how this really came about, where, okay.
Dr. Lee, let me cut you off for a minute.
Okay.
We're going to go to a break. We're up against our break, and then I want you to
Okay.
continue as soon as we come back.
Okay.
We're speaking with Dr. Mary Lee. She's the founder and president of Neighborhood Commerce Institute. She's involved in several other projects, as you've been hearing if you've been with us. But we'll be right back. I'm sorry to cut you off, but
No.
we're up against our break, and we will be back momentarily and continue the conversation.
Okay.
All right, nicely done. We're all clear. Back in about 2.
All right. Thanks, Matt. Sorry to cut you off there.
No problem at all. I
I know
I
it's
get excited.
exciting. Yeah, when we come back, I think I'll summarize a little bit more about iGames, because it's
Okay.
and then how it's supporting these two main focuses. One is creating the grants
Mhm.
that can create opportunity. I mean, talking about mentoring and talking about opening up doors and windows for people. And then talk about the dreams of our dead homies. It's really this whole thing. I mean, your whole life, Mary, is about creating dreams, right? It's about
Yes.
fulfilling dreams for people who need that hand up. They need that mentor. They need that support. And that's what I think. I love the name of your nonprofit, and I love what you're involved in, because that's ultimately what it's about. And it's really smart. And I want to talk about this when we come back from the break, but it's really smart to do it through gaming, because it is such a focus for kids these days.
Yes.
Oh, it's so popular. It's a $1 trillion industry, right?
Oh, multi-trillion-dollar industry. Yes, it really is.
If you're not a gamer, you don't understand that, but it is big business. And so
It's
to
big business.
tap into that and be able to utilize that space as a fundraiser is pretty ingenious, I think. So that's what I want to say when we come back from break here. But
Okay.
if you're on the video, you're going to hear it twice, guys. Sorry.
All right, coming back in about 12 seconds.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
You are listening to Finding Certainty with Patrick Lang. Have a question for Patrick or his guests? Join us on the show at 866-472-5790. That's 866-472-5790. Now, back to the show with Patrick.
Welcome back. We're visiting with Dr. Mary Lee, entrepreneur, philanthropic strategist, and founder of Neighborhood Commerce Institute International, otherwise known as NCI. Dr. Lee, before the break, we were talking a little bit about your involvement with the iGames Faith-Based Funding Institute. It's a little bit of a mouthful, but there's a lot of meaning in that name, right? We're talking about esports. It's obviously gaming is a multi-trillion-dollar industry. And I think the fact that you have figured out a way to tap into that space and use it for good is extraordinary. One of the purposes of our show, Finding Certainty, is focusing on influencers and businesses and organizations like your own that are making a difference and doing so in ways that are outside the box. I'm a firm believer that for us to progress, us to do more as businesses and nonprofits, we need to be willing to change. We need to be willing to evolve and think outside the box. We also need to work together. And what you're doing with the iGames and with the Funding League is exactly that. It's creating a way to use the resources available in this massive, massive industry and work together to make a difference. So I want to come back to dreams of our dead homies as well. But first, let's get into, since we are running short on time, the show ends in just a few minutes here, but let's get into how the iGames works in a little more detail. I know you're looking for, personally, just with your league, you've been given 1,000 seats that are available to players who can invest in this subscription card to the games. It's only $240 a year, it's $20 a month, so it's really affordable. But out of that, you're looking for volunteers who want to come in and be involved. Can you talk a little bit about that? Because I know that's your big push right now, is finding those who would like to be involved. But we say volunteers, but there's actually an opportunity for someone to earn income with it by being involved, by taking on more responsibility. Can you talk about the different tiers and how that works?
Okay. Yeah, this is a lot to cover in such a short time. But the iGames Faith-Based Funding Coalition, Funding League, there are 1,000 major seats. So I'll just call those CEOs. Each 1,000 CEOs will be managing 10. Will be managing 10 minimum middle managers, okay, or tournament hosts, okay, and so that's 70,000, okay, no, 10,000, right?
Right.
And so then 10,000 will be managing. Each 10,000 will be managing 5 nonprofits, okay, to help those nonprofits to be a success. So we're talking a total here of one team, okay? Think of these as a team. We got 1,000 teams. Each team is made up of 61 total, okay? 61 team members. And each team will be the very minimum requirement is to sell for over a period of 1 year, 19,000, I think 19,000 and some gift cards, okay, gift gaming cards. And then that, as I said, what we realized from the sale, the profit will go right back into the funding of Dreams of Our Dead Homies. And what we're doing with that is we're creating and we're giving families of those who have lost a loved one their own nonprofit organization, be it a foundation or a community development corporation, whatever they would want. It would be nonprofit in order to keep their loved ones, their lost ones' dreams alive. So if a young man dream is to be an NFL player, then their organization can focus on that and bring in. We would then provide the mentorship, all that a young man's would need, or young girl too, would need in order to fulfill their dream. Are they having family issues? They need help in school, whatever they would need. So it's a case management based type of services, within that particular nonprofit organization. And we're giving that. There's no charge. We're giving the support, and we're going to be finding all the funding that they need in order to be successful. That is a gift to the family of the ones who have lost their loved ones. That is how the dreams of our dead homies operate. Now, what is going on right now, and I kind of want to get this here in, is that we're actively working with the U.S. Department of Agriculture, HUD, and other government agencies in order to
Department of Education, Homeland Security, DOJ, Boys and Girls Club. I mean, you were going over the list, and it just goes on and on and on.
Yes, and this is to provide the platform. The platform has been adopted. They funding the platform has been adopted as the tool or platform for teaching STEM and STEAM. Okay, so we have more than about 3,200 locations within the country, and 3.6 million children and their families. So as we speak right now, we've got over 10 million people to serve, through STEM, because, teaching STEM. Right. This is where we are needing people, volunteers, nonprofits, leaders, mentors, case management type of people, social work type of people, to join neighborhood commerce. We need representatives. Neighborhood Commerce is a community development corporation. We do have others to develop their own community development corporations and community development financial institutions and other types of financial institutions. But we're looking for right now today, we want a minimum of 20 NCI representatives in every state so that we can fulfill and this STEM project, we do have the support, the backing, of the government. And so we're looking for volunteers. And of course we need money too. Foundations and organizations, corporations to sponsor us, to help get this thing going. It is already going. So it's not that it's not going, but it is already going. And we want to service these people. Right now we have, as I say, a minimum of over 10 million plus. And it's an opportunity for those who have their own organizations to even grow. Right. You can grow. What we have access to and services that we provide, we're there for your dreams as well. It started with Wilbur Brown's dream. He'd never known of a dollar-ride service. I was able to see and feel his dream and created the business plan that won this dream funding, first $25,000 that today has provided millions and millions and millions of jobs.
Right. Well, as a precursor to Uber, and it's a multi-billion-dollar idea today. And
Yes.
so just in summary, since we're up against the close of our show, Dr. Mary Lee has been able to put together this opportunity for nonprofits to have access to funding in a unique way with the gaming industry, this multi-trillion-dollar industry, and has created an opportunity for those who would like to take a bigger role as a CEO or celebrity host, as she calls them, or others who would like to be a tournament host or be a volunteer. It's an ingenious idea, Dr. Lee, because you're tapping into resources and you're sharing the workload. One CEO works with 10 hosts who work with just 5 nonprofits each. That's not very many. And yet out of that, you can raise millions and millions of dollars that can come back into the communities, back into helping these families who've lost a loved one to violence continue their dreams. There's just so much good out of this whole beautiful concept and program. And if it's not proof enough, we are out of time, but if it's not proof enough, the fact that you have HUD and you have EACL and the government and so many behind you, the biggest need she has, everybody, is she needs volunteers. She needs those who would like to get in, mentor these kids, learn the dashboard, support them, help them get involved and take part in this. And so much good, so many ripple effects can come out of it. So just in closing, Dr. Lee, how can people get a hold of you? How can they learn more?
Okay, you can actually 571-251-5193. Text, call, or send a voicemail. 571-251-5193.
All right. And what's the best website for them to go to?
It's neighborhoodcommerceinstitute.com. www.neighborhoodcommerceinstitute.com, just as it sounds.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being with us today, Dr. Lee. I'm really honored to know you and excited about the program. Anyone out there who would like to do some good and give back, if you're interested in being a part, I mean, all of our kids play video games. This is a way to actually put it to good use and make a difference rather than just be a time waster or a distraction. This can actually be a way. We know they're going to play. We know that's what they want to do. It's what interests them. So let's use it for good and make a difference in our communities. So thanks so much. Thanks for being on Finding Certainty today, Dr. Lee. Always a pleasure. And it's my honor to have you today.
Thank you. I certainly appreciate being here and appreciate your audience. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's my pleasure. Next week, we're going to be hearing from Mr. Ken York. He's the CEO of Life Exec. It's a extraordinary program that can help you afford benefits in your small businesses. So don't miss. Please come back. We look forward to having you again on Finding Certainty. And that's all for today. Thanks, guys.
All right, great show. Good job. We're all clear.
All right. Thanks, Matt.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right, I'm going to jump out of the call, but you both have a great rest of your day.
No problem.
Thank you. Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Good job, Dr. Lee. If there's anything that you thought of that you want to add in, we can have it on the video at least. I think we covered pretty much everything. There's a lot to fit into an hour. It goes really quickly, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. And but can't think of anything right now, but certainly thank you. And looking forward to what God has for us and for those whom God's going to send.
Well, we know he's in charge, isn't he? And
Yes.
I am gonna send you one more intro email. I want to introduce you to Dr. James. I'll show you a picture of him. You might recognize him from Lynchburg. This is him right here with the lieutenant governor. You recognize Will there?
Okay. Seems like I do recall seeing him. Yes, yes, but I didn't meet him. Didn't meet
Yeah.
him.
He's a good man. I think
Okay.
he seems to just know everybody. I mean, he's very
Okay.
connected. He's a pastor with Church of God in Christ.
Oh, that's
Um,
wonderful.
So he knows a lot of people, and he's made more introductions to me than probably anyone else I've met. He's just
Mhm.
almost every day he calls me with another introduction. So he'd be a really good
Okay.
person for you to meet. I think he could probably open up some doors, especially with his connections to Kojic and
Oh,
so
that'd
forth.
be great. That'd be great. I actually want to, get to Kojic. I really do.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Thank you. I look forward to it.
All right.
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
Loved it. A great show. You great interviewer.
no,
Know how to keep us going.
you did a great job. It's challenging sometimes fitting it all in and keeping it flowing, but I thought it went well. And I'll
Yes.
send you the
Link.
recap link. It should be live and posted. So you can go back and listen if you want, and or
Okay.
share it with anyone. You can put it on your website or
Thank you. Thank you. We
social
will.
media or whatever. And then if I can do anything else to help, please let me know.
Yeah.
We can talk more about how we can help you
Okay.
raise
Right.
funding. And
Right.
we talked about your CPA and your employee retention tax credit. That's one way we
Yes.
can raise a great deal for
Yeah.
you,
Yeah.
both with your company. You've got about 50 employees, but you know a lot more
Mhm.
companies out there who
Right.
I think would be interested in supporting you.
Okay.
Just happen to have ways they can do that without it costing them anything out of pocket. And
Okay.
so,
So my CPA is we had a huge demand on uh, on a project, and so we kind of wrapping that up right now. So he'll have more time now to look into the ERC.
okay.
That's what it's called, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So
Employee
he'll have more
retention
time
tax
to look
credit.
into that.
What we should
Mhm.
do is get on a Zoom and fill out the questionnaire with you,
Okay.
and I can show you what documents we need to get from him. And it's pretty
Okay.
straightforward, but we could do it pretty easily. So,
Okay. We could do that. We could
all
do
right,
that.
I'm gonna stop the recording. Thanks for listening,
Okay.
everybody, and I've enjoyed having you on, Dr. Lee. Thanks.
I've enjoyed being here. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye. Have a good